Everyone, thank you for joining in tonight. We're glad you could make it. Welcome to our Group 2 project presentation for data analysis with Excel. Presenting tonight for Group 2, we have Manisha, Hetal, Bijal, Ramya, and this is Steve. Let me set it up for you. We're a group of interns assigned to the Canadian division of Grenadier Superstore. GSS is an office supplies and furniture store headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee. Our supervisor has tasked us with doing a deep dive analysis of sales, shipping, and customer data using Microsoft Excel. We had a very team of interns. We held a total of 4 meetings, and everyone communicated effectively with very unique input, a lot of detailed input. But the most important thing we did was we all agreed upon our collaboration as a team. It's one of the most important things we did. We didn't have any bickering or infighting or anything like that. We had a really solid team. Some of the tools that we used to complete our task were Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint, and our main conduits of communication were WhatsApp and the Zoom platform. For research, we used Google, Copilot, and also ChatGPT. Now, our team created and modified pivot tables, slicers, and dashboards to analyze the data. And our investigation found better ways to track sales, improve shipping costs, and recognize the customer base. Our data findings have provided our supervisor with better ways of doing business at GSS. And now for a deeper dive into the sales data, I would like to introduce my colleague, Manisha. Sorry. Okay, my bad.
So if you message us just a little later today, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. That's a very nice introduction.
Sure
This is
thing.
Ramya. So I'll be sharing about the overall regional sales of the Grenadier Superstore and also about the shipping cost with order priority details. So here we will be going through the overall sales based on the category and subcategory. So from here, the executives can understand like which region is performing well and which region is not. So they can give more efforts to the not performing ones compared to the well ones, and they also could understand what kind of inventories or the inventories which they could do well on the top performing ones. Okay, here we will see about the category with higher sales and the region with lower sales. So based on our data, we could understand that the technology category is performing well compared to the other categories like the furniture and the office supplies, and the technology category gives around like $836,000 compared to the furniture and the office supplies, and office supplies has the lowest sales category in all. And when we go to the region with lowest sales, we could find that the South region is having the lowest sales out of the all 4. So the executives will now know that what is having, maybe there is a problem, or how they could improve the sales in that particular region, like advertisements and comparing with the other competitors. All those things they can do on the South region, and they will come to know that what is doing lowest sales. The next one is here we will come to know like how the sales of appliances and happening in Ontario. So when we analyzed our data, we could see that there are no sales on appliances in the Ontario city. It's like we couldn't find anything on Ontario other than the chairs category in furniture. So it costs around $283. And they could understand like what is happening in there, and they could have a greater opportunity to expand in other categories. And also in problem side, why there is no sales in other categories. So what is the problem? Why the customers are going to the other competitors than this? Maybe they can promote with some sales and discounts, things like that they can do in Ontario to improve the sales. Okay, then the next part would be all about the shipping cost and order priority. So with the data, we could know that there is no details of about the shipping cost and order priority. So what we have assumed is, like when we go to like FedEx or UPS, the normal charges, the low priority charge would be like starts from $5, and the highest would be like the critical orders would be like same day delivery starts from 25 to 100 and so. So we just start with the standard class, that's a low priority, which starts from 5 to the same day delivery, which is critical, which makes to $25. So we just set a minimum starting price for each of the categories. So with that assumption, we could find that the critical orders, the shipping cost for critical orders is like around $13,000 compared to all other categories. Okay. The next one is about the shipping cart, which costs the most, shipping method, which costs the most shipping cost. So as we know that the our shipping cost categorized from 5 to 25, we also set another column for order priority. So that is also based on the standard class is low, second class is medium, and the same day to critical. So based on our assumption, we set the order priority and the shipping cost, and we came to know that the standard class, which has the most shipping cost as it has the more number of orders. Then we have the discussion question with order priority and the shipping cost. As we know that the question is about whether the company has used wisely the shipping cost based on the order priority. With our assumption and the order priority, we know that the standard class was have the minimum cost, and the same day is having the more cost, like the the order priority, which is the critical one, which uses the higher cost, and the low priority or low order priority using the lesser shipping cost. We feel that the company is having used the shipping cost based on the order priority, and they use their resources wisely. So with this, I am passing it over to Hetal and Bijal.
Thank you, Ramya. That is such a nice explanation about shipping cost and regional shift. So now here we'll talk about most valuable customer. So to find out the valuable customer, we have here segments. That's a 3 type of segment: consumer, corporate, and office. So we have to find the each information about the each customers. So here to get that information, we'll use them order ID, number of orders, total profit, and total sales. It's like a very big list of customers, so we couldn't able to fit it each single customer's information. So we'll just here present you sample a little bit of customers. So now among all the segments, we have to find out the small business by the customer sales. So here in the consumer, corporate, and home office, we can say the home office is as small business. So to find out home office customer sale, we just use the pivot table, and using the pie chart, we can find out the Son Miller, who works for the home office customer. He had the highest sale by the $25,043.05. And another question was the analysis of the corporate customer by the number of orders. So same thing here we use the pivot table and the slicer, and using the bar graph, we just find out the 2 customers, Edward Hooks and Jonathan Dorothy. They both have they place the same number of orders. That was 32. And now I'll pass it to Hetal for the rest of our questions.
Thank you, Bijal.
Sorry, Tushar, I couldn't hear it. Shit.
And for this, I
Tushar?
added a home
Sorry.
office for my segment slicer. And the profit, I choose that to sort them in ascending order, so I can see the lowest value on top. And then I selected the top three, and they were again, Cheryl Roach, Sheen Miller, and Falk Knudsen. And you can see among all of them, Cheryl Roach had the least profit with a negative value of $3,233 in sales. So last but not the least, as you can see that when we worked on the data analysis part of this project, we learned, or our findings showed, that GSS had the lowest sale in the South region. And we have some suggestions that we work together to help the company improve on the area that needs to work on getting more sales and profit. So as I already said, South region had the lowest sale. And I think one of the things that the company can do would do some kind of market analysis by doing some market research. And to do that, maybe they can conduct a survey to understand the local customer and their preferences and needs. They can also look into their competition, and they can try to identify the gap and offer some solutions and see why their competitors have more customers than them. And another thing, some of the market strategies that they can apply is, of course, you have to target the specific customers that's local. Maybe offer some seasonal offers around holidays. Also improve their advertising. You know, social media is a big thing right now, so they can use that platform to enhance their sales in that lowest region. And also maybe they can offer some delivery and pickup options, like maybe on a cheaper rate, or maybe free delivery and pickup options for some local customers in order to increase their sales in southern region. And thank you so much for listening to us, and I hope you were able to understand everything. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Let's go, guys, give a big round. So first of all, thank you. This is really good presentations. I like the way you organize the slides. Awesome work. Couple of questions. Let's say somebody give you this kind of data and you kind of analyze. How many years of data do you need in order to make, I would say, convincing decision rather than just taking, hey, this is what you should. What do you guys think?
At least few years.
Few years.
I could see at least 3 years.
Ramaya, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that at least 3 years, which I believe.
Okay. So why do we need a lot more years of data in order to make conclusive decision?
So it will tell us exactly why we are in loss, or some more accurate causes for us to work on, or for the company to work on.
Very good. Now, in this situation, how many years of data we have?
We have 3 years,
2013
to 2016.
4 years.
4 years.
Got it. Could you go to one slide, like maybe go first or second slide? Just, you may expect such kind of questions while you're presenting the interview, right? Or in your conference. Yeah, let's pick this one. Here, I think Ramaya explains about, hey, these are the learnings. So example, here you can see technology is doing good. Does it tell you, does it provide the detail why it is doing good? Ramaya, how would you say technology is doing good because of A, B, and C?
Okay. Maybe we could add something like how much sales and the profits which happened in technology area.
No, because here one thing you might be missing is the.
So because technology is becoming an essential part of, like, you know, youth and every workplace actually.
Correct.
Could be a possible reason, or
So you do need to do a little research.
okay, yeah, absolutely.
Second thing, you in this like graph, first of all, wonderful graph, you can see here you have different type of category and you have dollar amount. But what you do not have is a location. Technology is doing 836,000, right? But what is missing is it a particular state is doing good or particular region is doing good? That information you may have to have handy. Because naturally, if you're going to say, hey, technology is doing good, then say which part of the country is doing good, right?
Okay.
Same apply for South, right? You are in the bottom graph, you're saying, hey, South region is struggling, it appears, right? Why they are struggling? What could be the reason? Steve or Amir, what could be the reason why South region is struggling while other regions are doing much better? What could be the possible reason? You have to do research, right? But what kind of research would you do?
So maybe the income of like local people who live there, economy, of course. Also the needs of the local customer. Do they really need all the things we are trying to sell there to figure out, like, we have to look at the product and actually what they need.
Okay. Now I'm just asking a couple question. Right? In the top graph, if you carefully see, you have furniture and your dollar. The next graph, which is the bottom graph, you have region and your dollar. Looking south, total sale. Can we say what kind of category we are selling?
Maybe furniture and office.
It is possible they're only focusing on office furniture, right? It is possible they're only focusing on office furniture. Maybe they missed out technology or they are not yet started technology. So what I'm trying to say, data may have some hidden fact. Again, I'm not sure that you know it because data may not have it. That requires a little bit, research. And when you are presenting such a beautiful way, you can see a lot of good content you have. Normally, what if scenario you will be asked? Now, even some questions you may not know the answer. In that situation, say, wonderful question. Let me research and get back to you. Sounds good?
Okay.
So this question is for Steve. Overall, while you are working with this group, Steve, what kind of challenges you guys experience?
Challenges. Well, thank you for the question. Let me see.
Steve, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. Challenges. That's a great question, Tushar. Thanks. I would say one of the challenges was that I did hear some people mention it was their first time doing a presentation. And so maybe there was a little bit of nervousness, some nerves involved, and we did a dry run during our last meeting. And it went really well. And so we just tried to encourage everybody during that dry run, practice run, and to try to, boost their confidence. But that was probably the only real challenge that I noticed because we came together as a team really well. We were very cohesive.
Very good. So Vijay, let's say if I give you extra 1 month, what would you add or change in this presentation?
If I'll have more data, I can do research about the sales and each region had that, like if I take the example of this one. So the South, you said why the South region, why the South has the lowest sale. So if I have enough data, so if I add 1 more month, then I might find the root cause. What is the reason why they have a less stuff? Maybe it's the economy or they have in a particular area. So why in a particular area they have the less sale? And then using those information, I can maybe get more accurate answers and I can help my stakeholder solve their problem.
What about you?
Definitely research. I would add that on my slide as well. Because we have to know, I know we cannot know for sure 100%, but overall, if we can find out more data about why we are lacking in that specific region or what needs to be added to improve the sale, we can add it to our presentation or our finding.
Very good. Ramaya, like if I give you 1 month extra, in this graph, what would you add or change?
Yeah, as you said, the data which is missed from the data file, maybe I could add that. And also if I get to connect with the like the team, the customer's team, and understand how the marketing team is performing and what are the strategies in different areas, I could understand that and add some more details to it.
Very good. Now, last question. I think could you go to last slide? I think you had a market analysis and market strategy. Yeah. So let's say if I follow your guidelines, whatever guidelines you gave me, like, hey, you do the market analysis, follow my market strategy. How confident you are that I'll turn around the situation? And if yes, how would you measure your success?
Maybe after once they followed these suggestions, we could do another analysis with them, like what is the progress in that particular area, and then understand.
Yeah, but that would be called post-mortem, right? What I'm trying to say, like you are saying, hey, I did all the data analysis and I came to conclude that if you do this and if you follow this path, you're going to turn around. And I say, wait a minute, I like your idea. Tell me how confident you are. And second, how would you measure your success? That this is working or this is not working?
Well, are we allowed to give percentage? Like I'm 90% sure about this?
Yeah, you can say what I'm trying to say, like think about that. If you go to doctor and doctor says, hey, do this prescriptions or you do this, then you naturally ask doctor, I will be cured, I'll be okay. I don't normally ask, I always ask.
The data analyst, I trust myself. I have whatever the data I use, whatever the data they give me, I use and I do my best to provide them all the information they wanted. So in that situation, I feel I'm very confident. But I cannot say I'm 100% right, but I'm very close enough to help them.
And how can we see it is by the sale improvement in next year.
So that is what missing here, right? If you give a doctor gives you prescription, then doctor will say, check in 3 days, your bruises will go away, your pain will go away, and if it doesn't go, come back. So when you provide market analysis and market strategy, what you can say here, the progress measure or success measure, you can say, based on this approach, we are 95% confidence or 90% confidence that your South region sales will increase by 10%. Just an example.
Yeah.
Or your customer X order will go to Y%. Having that we call success measure. Why? Because everyone like to see some way measurable growth, which we call KPI, right? Key performance index. But overall, great work.
Everyone, myself Amarjit. Good evening. Today I am here to present you a data analysis of Canadian Gradient's superstore, which is the largest leading superstore. Second slide, which is agenda. Agenda is like meet the team. Tool we used, regional performance, shipping analysis, customer segmentation analysis, challenges, and the question answers. The next one is meet the team. As you know, teamwork makes the dream work. So we all have put so much efforts to make the presentations. The people who have participated in our team is Alma, Paul Kebe, Amarjit, Devon, Dana, and Snowber Jahan. Next is the tool that we have used for the group conversation and for the data, that is Zoom, Excel pivot tables, Excel data analyzer, WhatsApp, Google Slides, Google Search, Chat GPT. Next is regional performance. So here I would like to pass into the Devon. Please explain the regional performance of the GSS store.
All right, thank you, Amarjit. So looking into some of the region performance across the board, we decided to look at the total sales figure across all regions, categories, and subcategories. We were able to determine that the grand total across all regions was $2,297,200.86. So from there, we were able to determine some of the highest product category sales across each category. And we determined that technology with this figure of 836,000 was the most from that grand total. As you can see in these graphs here, that there was the biggest a little bit of a gap between office supplies, furniture, and then technology as well. And so we probably should look into the office supplies and furniture to see how we can get those to improve and to expand so that we can get it equal to technology, and then also help, continue to grow technology sales. The next, we looked at each region across all 4 regions, and then we determined that the South region with that 391,000 figure was the lowest region across the board. With that being, sales being about 17% of the grand total, while all other regions were at least 20% or above. So we would need to determine why the South was so low and help, grow it so that it can also equal closer to that Central and East region, and then hopefully one day probably expand to the highest region, which was the West region. And the last but not least, we were asked to look at Ontario and determine the appliance sold in Ontario. Unfortunately, Ontario didn't sell any other categories besides the chairs. So we need to look into Ontario and determine why there are no other sales in that city. And then hopefully we can grow it and, make some more money there, because it's probably why the, profit across the board in Ontario wasn't that great. And so now I'll be passing it on to Alma to explain some of the shipping analysis.
Thank you, Devon. So we were asked to analyze shipping costs and provide recommendations. As we were not provided any explicit shipping data detailing cost by order or shipping method, we first looked to explore any potential to derive the data from what we were already provided. We determined that any gap between profit and sales might show a pattern in variance, and if we can get that to align with the various shipping methods, that might be our key. So we did test that theory. We started by taking an individual item and calculating the unit price and the unit cost, accounting for discount and quality. The test did result in a consistent unit price and cost across all of the variables. So what that told us was that those were the only components considered to define sales and profit. There was no room for any shipping cost in there. So we would have to move to a proxy-based approach. So in analyzing shipping data, it's important to acknowledge that the assumptions are being made to derive our conclusions in the absence of specific cost data. The goal is to provide directional insights rather than exact calculations. We researched industry standards to understand the cost differences between the shipping methods used. If we consider standard class as our baseline, second class is generally 20% less. First class, 20% more, and same day is 3 times the cost of standard class. So if we look further, sorry, I'm trying to advance. So now we're going to determine our baseline. We don't know weight and dimensions of our orders. However, if we assume that the higher value orders would likely contain more items, that would stand to reason that it would increase the weight and shipping dimensions. That might be a good indicator that it would cost more to ship it. So if we assign 5% of total sales as our standard class baseline, we can then overlay the 20% higher, lower, or the 3 times. And that's how we determine what our shipping costs were going to be. Again, these are assumptions. They're going to guide strategic thinking so that we can, and they're not defined metrics, but we'll be able to look for trends and opportunities to optimize. So with those assumptions, we can look at cost. Given this logic over the 4-year data set, shipping was about 127,000. It might seem intuitive to focus solely on the shipping cost relative to value, but we believe that the true cost lies in how these expenses align with profit margins. So with standard class accounting for nearly 60% of orders, it is the highest total shipping cost at about 68,000. However, the below chart shows that compared across all shipping methods, standard class, even though it was the highest, is in alignment with 2 of the other 3 shipping methods. And it's clear to see that same day warrants further investigation, which we can see in the chart on the following slide. Same day shipping represents only about 5.5% of total orders, but its shipping costs are 121% of the profits generated. So that literally means that for every $1 we earned in profit, we spent $1.21 to ship it. For corporate customers, that's $3.72, given these assumptions in this scenario. So that's a significant red flag for cost efficiency. First class and standard class are pretty steady across the segments. So it suggests that that's more sustainable shipping method and relatively strong profitability. Second class shipping does show that it's lower. That's a good story. However, home office orders within this category stands out with the lowest profitability, with shipping costs being about 23%. So it suggests that there's opportunity for targeted cost optimization. This is our lowest shipping method, but we could optimize that and kind of regain some of our profits if we can move some of those orders. So our suggestions, our recommendations focus more on the two extremes, same day and second class methods. As I mentioned, standard and first are pretty profitable. Let's just maintain that balance. But when we look at same day, do we consider, continuing this option? Pass that cost on to the customer, maybe create thresholds for order eligibility, look at membership fees to offset these costs. Then maybe we look into why corporate customers are taking such high advantage of it, mostly on orders that are already highly discounted. So maybe we need to look into better planning or onboarding processes that eliminate the need for those critical orders. And then when we look at second class, how do we optimize that shipping? What programs can we put in place to target home office customers to increase their orders in this space? And speaking of the nuances of customer segmentation, that's exactly what Dana is going to discuss in our next slides.
Okay, thanks, Alma. So looking at our customers segmentation, we're going to look at it across the board first. And so what we see is that you have the consumer, the corporate, and home office. And what we can see is even as, as some of the shipping analysis, consumer is the most profitable. They have the most in total sales, they have the most in total profit. Whereas the home office, as you can see, is, lagging behind, significantly behind the consumer and corporate offices. So then if we kind of take a deep dive and let's just look at each one of those segments, we're going to start off with, corporate customer focused. And so when we looked at corporate customer focused, we, looked at our customers and we see that when it came to the number of orders, though Jonathan Doherty and Edward Hooks had the same amount of orders, they pretty much weren't even, because we would see that Edward Hooks gets the most valuable player because he was more profitable than Jonathan Doherty. And so, and then these are our top six customers in the corporate focus, with Edward Hooks winning the most valuable. So he gets the award, the company award. Then we start looking at consumer customers. At consumer customers, there is a consumer named Raymond Butch that not only in sales, but also in profit. He gets it in both areas there. And he is followed behind by Sanjeet. And notice that Sanjeet, though he had more orders, Raymond still had more sales and he made more profit. So that's just kind of a deep dive into consumer customers. And then let's look at home office. This is the area of improvement that we see that across the board, they kind of significantly lag behind in total profit. If you do a deep dive, we saw that Sherelle Roach, though she made her total sales was 3,200, her total profit was negative by far. So everything she sold, she lost. So that's an area that we probably want training or kind of take a peek at and see what we can do about that. Is it the way that things are being shipped, or is there just other ways that we can market to bring her total sales up for the home office? But that is just, again, data recap. Home office kind of significantly lags behind the other two segments. Now, what we also tried to do, you had asked the question about year over year, though we didn't have data for the 2009 to 2012, we did have data for 2013 to 2016. And what we can see is there is a trend up across the board for total sales, total number of orders, total profit. There is a trend going up across the years. It was interesting doing even a further deep dive because these years don't account for the years that we went into COVID. I believe that probably technology would probably even take us go way up. So with furniture, because people kind of move their home offices to their homes. So that's just kind of a peek at, hey, year by year, what does that year trend looks like? So that's the kind of trend we want to see. We want to see an upward trend, but we need more data. We need more current data so that we can really predict and understand what the outside variables are doing that will cause us to be more profitable. And I'm going to pass it to Sanober just to tell everybody thank you. Sanober, so I'm sorry.
Thank you, Dana, and thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. And we are ready to take questions.
So first question, first of all, before I ask question, fantastic. You guys did a very good job. Not only give a background, not only you kind of solve the question answers, but you use various, I would say, statistical and analytical techniques, terms, and definitions. So perfect usage of trending, a perfect usage of segmentations and all. Awesome work. First question for Sanober. What was the most favorite part for this project while working with this group?
Most favorite was that since I am an Excel student and shipping, because there were challenges with the shipping costs, so it was something to learn that if we don't have much data, then we can predict data, and then we can make the prediction for the last year's the data given, and then depending on those data we can analyze that what we can do for the next. If we want to predict for the next 4 years, we can, looking at the trend, we can analyze that is it going in a positive direction and is it in a profit, if the company is making a profit or not.
Very good. Elma, could you take it to your slide where you have research or recommendation? I believe you have recommendations. Could you go back to that slide? It has a detailed recommendations, I believe.
Oh, the recommendations.
Yes, I think slide 16 or this perfect. So first of all, like the way you kind of come up with the, I would say, cost estimation for shipping. Now, if someone asks, okay, I like what you're suggesting, do industrial benchmark and compare how can we reduce the cost. So what kind of research would you do?
How can we do what to the cost?
Yes, it means basically your recommendation is about shipping, and I'm saying, okay, I like what you're saying. Why don't you compare industrial data, do the benchmarking, and then come back? What are we doing and what should we do? So my question to you, what kind of research would you do so you can have a good benchmarking, industrial practices, and your suggested practice either meet, exceed, or fall behind?
Gotcha. One, I would probably, and it's something we did as a group, kind of take a look at what other companies are, I don't know if that's me, what other companies are doing, how they're handling that and their customers. I think Dana even broke it down further to just things that we expect as consumers. There is a consumer segment, how we expect our shipping options, at what levels of membership or things like that. Some of the things we expect to see offset. So I think I would start there. What successes, what are other companies and particularly our competition seeing success using? I also, one thing that I thought about, especially when I saw a lot of the discounting, is what are we contractually obligated to that we have to honor before we can start making any changes? Maybe these are some concessions that we've made with companies that we might be contractually obligated to. So I think that would be definitely something to, a place to start before we started making any recommendations.
Got it. Dion, question for you. While you're working on this project, like if somebody asks you to take a couple of recommendations so we can, increase our profit, walk me through like a couple of recommendations and implementation approach to improve the company's profit.
Okay, so I would say the first thing I would do, after looking through some of the data, was especially in the South region, there was a lot of sales that we seem to say that weren't being made across the board, collectively. So in the Central and East and West region, across all appliances, let's see if I can see it. Yeah, so here, if you look at majority of the sales and like the categories in the South region, a lot of it was much smaller than most other regions. So the first thing I would do was take a look at the South region and figure out how we can get more sales first. And then also, we don't have it here, but there was a lot of discounts that were being made across the board for a lot of customers. If we remove those discounts, the profit will increase tenfold. Some customers were getting 80% discounts. Some customers were getting 70% discounts. Some customers are even getting 50% discounts. So that was probably where I would start first to get that profit to increase.
But wouldn't be counterproductive? Because if you remove the discount, it means the volume of sales may go down.
Yeah, actually, yeah, no, that's actually true as well. If you do increase or decrease some of the discounts for those customers, the volume of the sales may go down, but I still think that across the board it will still increase profit, regardless, because not every customer will stop getting some of the products that are, especially like appliances or like paper storage, something like book supplies, stuff like that. Those are things that are everyday use for most customers, that even if they didn't use the discount, they would still probably need to make those purchases. So I still think it would be a better idea to remove some of the discounts.
Dana, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, but just to piggyback off of some of the things that Devon is saying is that we also not only looking at those discounts, and you're right, you can't take away something that people have been having and have a positive response, but we could color it. We could keep that discount, but upcharge. Instead of that thing costing a certain amount, you upcharge it. Oh yeah, you're getting a 70% discount. That's kind of what Amazon does to me. But also we even talked about maybe for some of the shipping, get some incentives out there, membership fees, so that they think that they are important. That would help. So, some of the things that Devon was talking about, we had considered those things and kind of compounded with some other things to help, so it doesn't look like we're taking something away.
Very good. So then a question for you. Like in this exercise, we are showing sales, we are showing profit, we are showing a percentage of the profit. Now, even if you can go to slide number, the one you were showing like 9 or where you heard first analysis. Keep going. The Excel file. Your Excel slide. Keep going. Yeah, slide number 4, 6. If you click on slide number 6. So then a question for you. Let's say you have done all analysis, and now you've been asked in the meeting, knowing what you know, out of this, which product or category we should discontinue and why? Could you help me select 1 or 2 product which we should discontinue or category?
And looking at this slide, it looks like those fasteners. It looks like the fasteners across the board is just really not making very much money. I would like a little bit more data, because this is only talking about the sales percentage. So I would like to see, and I'm not sure, I know on one of my, I don't know, Devon, did we do that? Did you happen to do that where we look at not only the sales, but the profit that we made across the board? But just looking at what we're having here, it looks like fasteners, it's very low across the board for any region. I would also look at chairs. Obviously, fasteners is not helping Ontario, because they're only selling chairs. So discontinuing fasteners, even though the sales is very low, I'm not sure. I would need more data. I would want more data because I would want to look at the profit margins across these different, you know, technology, furniture, just looking at how much money we're making on it. I don't think that you can make an accurate assumption without looking at some other variables than just looking at sales, because we saw quite a bit of significant with discounts when we look at the profit. So I would want to see a slide that shows total profit by all of the different things, and then come up with a recommendation of what to discontinue.
No, that is fine. Now the question is, changing question. Let's say companies say, you know what, I understand growth is good, but overall the operating cost means to run the business is also increasing, which is not listed here, but they are saying our profit margin is shrinking. Knowing that fact, what are the few things company can focus as a strategy for upcoming?
There are a couple of things that we talked about. One of the things were, you know, with the amount of, if you go to that, I don't know, it was in my slide and it was also in Alma's section about shipping standard. Since standard has so much shipping and so much, we do so much volume there. I think there's some operational efficiencies that could be accomplished there, you know, like batching those things, because a lot of the standard shipping, we could batch those things together because you know, people are accepting 4 or 5 days. So batching those things, making some negotiation with our providers, the FedEx or, you know, United Postal Services. I think that operationally there are a lot of things, especially when it comes to shipping, and we don't have a lot of data about where are the different warehouses. And so maybe we should build some additional warehouses so that the shipping is cheaper. So I know I'm focusing more on, you know, operational when it comes to shipping, but we just don't have enough data. I would like to kind of know some of the challenges like Sherelle Roach experience that made it so that we're getting negative. And there were quite a few, I would say, I can't remember. I think there were at least 7 or 8 that we were making negative profit. They were selling, but we were making negative profit. So there's some things operationally that we could do to, you know, boost our sales.
Emma, perfect. Emma, you have a question?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It was one of the slides that we had to, you know, remove due to time. We were trying to stay within the time restraint, but now that we're talking about it operationally, the reason we were seeing a lot of those negative profit when it wasn't even heavy discounting. There just wasn't a lot of margin between the item cost and what we were selling it for. So looking at those purchasing agreements, how we're acquiring those items, if we can purchase them maybe from a different supplier or at a lower cost and without raising the prices or removing those discounts. So there was a lot of opportunity there as well.
Got it. So now a question for you. Let's say you do all those analysis. At the end of the day, what specific message audience should take home?
From the analysis, I would, yeah, as per, yeah, sorry, Tushar, you saying something? Yeah, as per our analysis, we came to know that looking at the profits, we're not making so much of profit. So in order to increase the profit, looking at the market, putting myself in as a consumer, when I'm a consumer, I go to the marketplace, then I see that in a furniture, when I go to buy a furniture, we have certain things which helps the company to increase the sales, like they ask for the installation charges, which for every furniture, or they have this warranty plans, which also helps in increasing the sales, and which can, because for every furniture they have this plan. So as an analyst, I think that if these things are provided in the data, it might help in increasing the sales as well as the profit. And looking at the membership, maybe we can, as an analyst, while discussing in the team also, we realized that maybe increasing the membership cost might help in increasing the sales and the profit for every section, not only for furniture. But yeah, these are the different sections which as a team we realize that it might help in increasing the sales and the profit.